The story you heard, that a popular creator named Sophie Hall filed a $50,000 lawsuit against a high-profile athlete, Tyreek Hill, for a devastating injury, is absolutely true. But the reality behind the legal filings is far messier than any headline could capture. We are talking about a textbook case of an expectation versus reality that defines the adult industry's interaction with mainstream celebrity, where the public narrative is carefully crafted, but the financial and legal receipts tell a story of contradictions and high-stakes maneuvering. The initial expectation was a clear-cut case of negligence, a wealthy athlete being held accountable for aggressive behavior. The reality we're about to dissect, however, is a dizzying timeline of events that includes a claimed severe injury, immediate intimacy, and a suspicious delay in filing the claim, all of which suggests the pursuit may be more about generating press and brand value than legitimate damages. The court documents, along with Hall's own deposition testimony, shatter the simple victim narrative and force us to ask the three core questions everyone is ignoring. What was the real timeline of events, and why does it contradict the core injury claim? Why did the initial lawsuit focus on a dog trip before switching to an aggressive football narrative? And finally, how are the legal teams leveraging the creator's spicy content profession to influence the perception of her credibility and her claim's value? We will break down the evidence, including leaked text messages and deposition transcripts, to reveal a reality where a $50,000 suit could actually be a multi-million-dollar publicity play. But first, let's dig into the evidence the NFL star's team is weaponizing: the timeline of intimacy. The most shocking contradiction that the defense has amplified came straight from Sophie Hall's own sworn testimony during her October 2024 deposition, as reported by the Times of India in early 2025. This detail is the single biggest spike in this entire controversy. The injury allegedly occurred in June 2023 during what Hall described as a highly aggressive backyard football drill at Hill's home in Florida. Her lawsuit claims that Hill's force resulted in a fractured right leg requiring reconstructive surgery, which would constitute significant and immediate physical trauma. This is the official court expectation: a severe injury demanding a substantial payout. Yet, when questioned by Hill's legal team, Hall admitted that immediately following the incident, the two were intimate. Not only that, but she admitted to being intimate with the athlete the following day as well. Allegedly, Hill carried her on his back to his bedroom after the injury, and she remained at his home for several days afterward, even participating in activities before returning to Tampa for medical treatment. Now, let's unpack the reality of this admission, because it is more than just a piece of juicy gossip. It is a critical piece of legal strategy. This admission is the core of the defense's strategy, designed to immediately spike retention for their case by utterly undermining the severe injury claim. Legal experts, according to analysis in the Daily Mail, suggest this testimony introduces a powerful concept called contributory negligence. The defense argues, quite simply, how can a person with a fractured leg, a severe injury the lawsuit claims caused over $50,000 in damages and required major reconstructive surgery, willingly engage in intimate acts and stay for multiple days without seeking immediate formal medical attention? This question is central to the viability of the entire case. Hall explained this contradiction by stating that she felt vulnerable and sought comfort, claiming Hill was only aggressive during those plays but returned to his usual demeanor afterward. However, in the court of law, that explanation struggles to stand up against the physical evidence. The defense is not just suggesting the injury was less severe, they are using her admitted actions to suggest that her own behavior after the event contributed to the damages, or, at the very least, demonstrated a lack of concern that contradicts the severity of her claim. If the injury was truly life-altering, the natural, expected action would be an immediate trip to the emergency room, not an extended stay. This is the reality shock for the jury. The payout here is a devastating legal consequence. The admission drastically reduces the perceived value of the physical damage and may allow the defense to argue for a substantial reduction or complete dismissal of the claim entirely. This is why legal teams always follow the timeline and the texts. They expose the gap between the public claim and the personal reality. This begs the next question. If the timeline of the injury is so messy, what about the story of the injury itself? The question remains, what was the real sequence of events, and how does the evolving story compromise the lawsuit's central charge of negligence? The timeline itself is a twisting road of conflicting statements and actions that started well before the formal filing. Hall's lawsuit was filed relatively late, months after the initial incident in June 2023. The filing date gave the defense team ample time to dissect not just the alleged injury, but Hall's entire narrative arc since the incident. This is standard operating procedure in high-profile civil cases. A late filing suggests time for calculation, not just recovery. Furthermore, the early stages of the legal process saw the origin story of the injury itself shift dramatically. According to statements made by Hill's legal team to the Sun-Sentinel newspaper, their initial understanding and alleged initial defense strategy was that Hall tripped over a dog during the backyard drills, an unfortunate accident the team alleged was clearly not Hill's fault. This claim was supported by Hall's own initial text messages sent to her sister shortly after the injury, which described what happened, but reportedly never explicitly accused Hill of intentionally hurting her. This is the expectation set by the earliest internal communications, an unfortunate accident involving a pet. However, the formal lawsuit abandoned the dog trip in favor of the more inflammatory and arguably more negligent narrative of Hill's overly aggressive tackle during the drill, claiming he became enraged after she blocked him successfully. The lawsuit alleges Hill became angry after being humiliated by Hall, who is a taller, plus-size model, and charged into her violently and with great force. This move, which involved the official legal filing moving from a pet-related accident to a direct physical assault charge, suggests a major legal pivot aimed at increasing the potential liability and damages, from simple accident to battery. The payout for this strategic shift is clarity on the motive. By changing the narrative from a simple, unclaimable accident to an athlete's intentional negligence, the claim attempted to leverage Hill's well-documented history of legal issues to make the case more believable, more high-profile, and ultimately more valuable. They tried to create a stronger narrative by linking it to a pre-existing public perception of the athlete. But this attempt to craft a stronger narrative opened a massive weakness for the defense to exploit. They can now point to the evolving story as evidence of a calculated legal strategy aimed at generating bad press and maximizing a payout, rather than simply recounting the facts. This is the reality of civil litigation at this level. The story you tell matters more than the details if you can't reconcile all the evidence. It leads us directly to the most controversial part of the case, the creator's job itself. This brings us to the third critical question. How are the legal teams using Sophie Hall's profession in the spicy content industry to influence the narrative and the value of her case? In these cross-industry celebrity lawsuits, the victim's profession is frequently weaponized by both sides to either enhance or diminish their public and legal standing. On one hand, Hall's profession as a high-profile creator gave her the platform to make this lawsuit a national headline, a media angle that creates massive pressure on the athlete to settle quickly and quietly. Her brand is built on public engagement and high visibility, and this entire drama package is a massive real-time catalyst for attention and subscriptions, regardless of the ultimate legal outcome. For her, the massive media coverage is the entire expectation and a guaranteed win. The reality, as outlined in the court proceedings, is that the defense is using the very public and unconventional nature of her career to question her credibility, framing her pursuit not as a search for justice, but a calculated entrepreneurial venture. They are using her admission of intimacy immediately following the injury, combined with the shifting injury narrative, to paint a picture of an individual less interested in honest damages and more interested in exploiting a highly unusual situation for financial gain and career-boosting publicity. Per the defense's filings, their core arguments suggest that her actions were calculated, designed to maximize her exposure and the financial settlement in a classic PR move. The defense is leveraging the public's preconceived notions about the adult industry, that creators are always chasing the next big drama, to discredit her entirely in the court of public opinion. The payment for the creator is simple math, even if the case is dismissed. While she may never see a dollar of the $50,000 settlement she is seeking, the attention generated by the lawsuit, reported across the Times of India, TMZ, and countless other outlets, translates directly into millions of social media impressions and thousands of new subscribers to her Blue site content. This massive public exposure is an undeniable PR win, even if it is a complete legal loss. This is the transactional reality of the modern adult industry. The true cost of the lawsuit, therefore, isn't the legal fees. It's the blurring of lines between legitimate legal claims and calculated public image campaigns.
The outcome of the case matters less than the exposure gained from the fight itself. Ultimately, this case is an object lesson in how the adult content industry is changing the face of celebrity lawsuits. What began as a personal injury claim against an NFL star has devolved into a high-stakes battle over credibility and public relations. Sophie Hall's decision to pursue the lawsuit, despite the damaging, contradictory admissions regarding post-injury intimacy, ensures maximum media attention, which is a currency just as valuable as the $50,000 she is seeking. Her public platform guaranteed that this claim would not be quietly settled, but would be argued in the court of public opinion, where the shifting narrative only adds to the intrigue and fuels her career. Hill's defense team, on the other hand, is effectively arguing that the claim is an exaggeration, suggesting the injury was minimal, and the claim is a tactical, financially motivated move, evidenced by the confusing timeline, her own contradictory testimony, and her profession's reliance on generating public interest. The fact remains that for a creator in the adult industry, the true payout is often not the courtroom settlements, but the long-term career benefits derived from the virality of the scandal itself. Whether the money is awarded or not, the brand awareness, the subscriber boost, and the overall celebrity status from this highly public battle are already secured. The expectation was a settlement. The reality is a career acceleration. The takeaway for anyone watching the adult industry's legal drama is that every public statement, every leaked text message, and every court filing must be viewed through two lenses: the legal reality of the claim and the calculated financial reality of the resulting media coverage. The business is the drama, and the drama is the business. To understand the game, you have to follow the receipts, not the headlines. If you want a deeper dive into the money, the manipulation, and the contracts that really define this space, you need to check out the rest of the Velvet Rope Industry Secrets playlist. It's the essential next step to seeing the full picture of the game behind the fame.